Babu Allan Kanyotu is a legendary music producer in Kenya and beyond. Courtesy of his brainchild Studio SAWA, originally based on Sheikh Karume Road, downtown Nairobi, the studio is currently located on the outskirts of Ngong town. While in Form 3 at Kirogo Secondary School in 1965, Murang'a County, then Murang'a District, expatriates from BBC London working for the Voice of Kenya identified a young Babu Allan Kanyotu during a talent scouting mission. They recommended him for a sound engineering course at the Voice of Kenya Training School upon completion of his Cambridge certificate. Vibes in the Hood had a one-on-one with this living legend at his Ngong home. First, we asked him who is Babu Allan Kanyotu.
Simply call me Kanyotu because, people don't know the Babu Allan Kanyotu. They normally call me Kanyotu, and that is my great father's name, Kanyotu. It's a simple name, and I like it, though before I was actually against it because girls or people used to make fun of it. Kanyotu Yotoka, as if it was a bit abusive.
It was kind of like joke line in one way or the other.
Yes, joke line.
Right.
So I almost now dropped it. But then because of the history, all my aunties, all my relatives were calling me Kanyotu because they told me that I was resembling my grandfather in terms of stories, memories, and very funny character.
Right.
And I used to bathe a small river called Mathioya, Kagema, and even up to now, that particular place, that pool in Mathioya, is still under my name.
Mm-hmm. Well, was it kind of like a river that passed through your area?
It's a big river. Mathioya is a big river.
It's a big river, yes.
Tributary of Sagana.
Right.
Because it goes way down to Sagana.
So now, Babu Allan Kanyotu has actually been born and brought up in Kangema, like you've just said.
Yes.
Near River Mathioya.
Yep.
What schools did you go to?
Near Nyeri. We are.
You're more or less near Nyeri. Might be at the border of Murang'a and Nyeri.
Exactly. In fact, I went to my primary school in Nyeri, a place called Kiagugo, Chinga location. Because we were neighbors. We were the last on the Murang'a side, and the other side was the last on the Nyeri side. It was just a small river.
Well, were there bridges now to cross over to Nyeri to go to primary, or how were you crossing the river?
There was just these footbed bridges.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, because there was no vehicle to go, or sometimes you go through the river, or sometimes you swim the river when there is no rain, not rain season. And in any case, we were very few. I was the only one who was coming from Murang'a side.
From Murang'a side?
Yes.
Was it a better school compared to the Murang'a side, or what was the issue?
There was no school to compare with then. You just went to which was the dearest and convenient.
Right.
Yeah.
Babu Allan Kanyotu excelled in his lower primary school common entrance examination, continued to intermediate at Karindu Primary, and later joined Kirogo Secondary School. It was here that his encounter with BBC sound engineers set him on a lifelong journey. Babu Kanyotu recalls this defining moment.
They were going around schools trying to pitch, very bright, I know bright children or pupils who can stop Form 4, because if they go to Form 5, then they will go to university, and there were no people. But they wanted technical staff, middle class, who can understand, but they can only do so by them going to school to interview pupils from high school. So I found some 3-4 Europeans at Kirogo. They were actually, I didn't know what they were looking for, but later I was told that they were looking for people who can be able to maintain broadcasting equipment. And the broadcasting equipment then was very funny, because if we think of a video camera was not the ones that we see. It was just a video on a trolley. It was about half a ton.
In terms of weight?
Yes, half a ton. So you could just, you are driving to the studio.
Right.
If you want a close-up, you actually go with the camera to close up there, okay? So that you can have a zoom. It's not having a zoom.
It was actually placed on a roller.
Because of the weight.
Because of weight now.
Yes.
Now, take us back now to that particular interview now. You know, now you're seated with those Wazungus who had come to conduct the interviews. What were your first words? What did they ask you?
Oh, they asked me that they are looking for people, but we were told, we had been given a brief, okay, that there are some Europeans coming to do some interviews so that they can pick the brightest people. There were people from, Ex-Telecom,
yes, then.
Yeah.
After excelling in his Cambridge certificate, Babu Allan Kanyotu qualified for a training as a sound technical engineer. We asked him to expound on his training experience.
The training and the studio were actually very much related, because we could go and do the theory and then go to the studio to do practical, so that now you can learn practically what you are the Europeans were teaching you. This is a camera, this is a video camera. It looks like this. This is there was a video camera. There was another machine, a very big one, which we were recording video.
Was actually recording the video.
Yeah.
At that time, of course, you're using the film. You're using the film then.
What?
It was actually film.
It was not film.
It was not a film.
No, the film was completely different.
Right.
And the film, we could not get do the film here and then process here. It was going to be processed in England.
It was actually processed in England.
Yes.
Right.
Before, the videos were actually local, but the only thing that were bought are the machines, and we were trained by Europeans, and I know them by, there was one who was called Tony Williams.
Tony Williams.
And the Messenger, and there was and Mr. Ma. All those who are from BBC.
Oh, they were from BBC London.
Yes.
So now you've actually entered into employment.
Yeah, remember, KBC was a byproduct of BBC.
Right.
So BBC was supplying VUK training school before, because it was being told it was named VUK training school, not KMC.
VUK training school then, initially?
Yes. VUK training school, because
where was that VUK training school then initially?
It was near Dog Section, Kenyatta.
That was before they established the Kenya Institute of Mass Communication.
Yes, that is where we started our training.
Right.
There were some government houses just opposite the Dog Section near Kenyatta Hospital.
After graduating from the Voice of Kenya Training School, Babu Allan Kanyotu joined the Voice of Kenya, later moving to Kenya Institute of Mass Communication, KMC, as a sound engineering lecturer. His teaching career was enriched by local and international training. His hands-on experiences in broadcast sound engineering led him to music production, first as a hobby, then as a profession, 10 years into his employment. Here is what he had to say.
Daudi, I always wanted, I was envious of those people who are getting their own money through their own private or anything that you could get, you could add to what you have.
To whatever you're getting now from your salary.
Yeah.
Yes.
First of all, I had the urge of driving a vehicle. I could not afford to drive a vehicle.
Are you telling us that the salary was kind of like too low, you could not even afford a vehicle then?
What?
In the years when you got employed, you know, you used to receive some little money as salary. You could not actually afford to
It was
buy a
not
car.
even enough to even pay for the house, apart from the housing allowance.
So now you venture into business now. You've started now recording music.
Before we went there, I was interested in sound. Okay? And I was interested also in the music.
Right.
Because when I was in study 4, study 6, I used to hide from the village and go and dance.
You know those village discos.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
And there were some people whom I can remember were impressing me. Akina Chida Gikombe.
Mm-hmm.
And there's another person who sang another Kikuyu song, but I can't remember.
You can't remember actually.
But that was before.
Chida Gikombe was actually a very popular musician then.
That was before Kamaru's.
Right.
Yes. So I always wanted to have some pocket full with some money of my own. I call my own.
You wanted to be rich.
Yeah, because I was not getting enough.
Right.
And I want more than I'm getting. So what do? But
Tell us.
But God showed me, now just use what I've given you, the knowledge that I've given you. Try to monetize. Manage yourself.
Yes.
So then what I did is because I've been going and then I'm seeing that people are doing some music, and they are doing some music because of to go and be heard on the radio. It
was kind of like more or less for fun. You know those earlier musicians, the earlier musicians that you're talking about, you know, they were kind of like recording music or singing music just to be famous. Not for purpose of getting money.
For them to be known. But now people did not know where VOK was. They could not be able to travel there. Okay? But because, I was working indirectly with the VOK, because, I was training all those broadcasters.
Right.
Were coming through KMC.
They were coming through KMC.
Then they were asking for music they cannot get. So they were actually playing Swahili music in most cases because there was no any other language. English was not acceptable because that is not African. So Kiswahili.
Kiswahili was actually more played into those other stations, the vernacular stations.
Yes, and that's the time I recorded people like Bahari Boys.
So what was Babu Allan Kanyotu's first music recording, and where was it done?
So I used to stay at OFAFA Maringo.
In that house, tiny house of yours in OFAFA Maringo, what is that the place that you were able to start your first recording ever?
Yes, that house was my bedroom, was my sitting room, was my workshop. Okay.
And was your studio too?
Before that, studio came later. After I tell you what I'm going to tell you.
Please do.
So when I am trying these things, I could not even get something to try our tapes because it was reel to reel.
Reel to reel, yes.
Reel to reel. But somehow I got a tape from KBC to come and be trying. It was by some Ugandans.
Was it a musical tape?
Yes, a physical tape.
Mm-hmm.
It was by Ugandans. But when I came, we were using the machines called ferrograph.
Right.
But when I came with the tape, I got a problem because, I did not know that a ferrograph needs two real tapes. The feed tape and take up spoon.
Absolutely.
Okay?
Absolutely.
Because if you pray like that now, you go on.
It will kind of like
roll
out.
The other problem was now, how do I get an empty?
It was not easy. It was not easy.
Pardon?
It wasn't easy to get an empty. An empty reel,
yes,
a spool.
Yes. So I think through not things I spoiled one of the old tips from my employer. Don't ask me how, because those are not, they were not, but I got an empty spool.
Absolutely.
When I got an empty spool, I also got another spool which was not used. Don't ask me where.
I will not ask you.
Now the challenge is...
you are still a young man now.
The challenge
you're actually experimenting.
The challenge is, the microphone was not a very big issue. Because, we were using microphones many times. When people are going to cover some news.
The so-called OBs. OB
recordings. Yeah, I'm using an OB microphone.
Right.
So, some two ladies came to visit me. Because when I'm working with VUK, they do not have an idea that I have got any basic knowledge of recording. But all what they wanted to know is how can they go there. But then they could not get any way. But somehow, I had told one of the broadcasters, who was my personal friend, I can record at home.
Right.
And from KMC, I could record from KMC.
Right.
So what I did is that I got two ladies. They asked me they've got a problem and they don't know how to go through, and they were referred to me by somebody called, I think it was called Gigi.
Was it Joseph Gigi?
Joseph
that broadcaster.
Yeah. And he knew the challenges of recordings. And then he told them, go at Marigo and look over Mr. Kanyotu.
Who will be able now to guide you on how recording is
one
done.
One lady, Osamukolino, came. She told me that I have got this music. I was told that you can record and forward it. So what I did is that now I just got a microphone from KBC. In fact, there were two microphones, and I gave her a date. They came and they recorded in
your small
room.
Tiny house.
Yes. And when they recorded, I took that one to somebody called Gigi. When Gigi had that music, it was acoustic because there was no noise. And because of the bedroom was here, there is a curtain there. So there was actually unplanned acoustics.
Unplanned acoustics, yes.
And
the sound came out well.
And there's no noise. Okay? Because the curtain of the bed.
Of course now you have to have the curtain.
And for the window.
Yeah.
And for the door.
Yeah, absolutely.
When I sprayed there, I knew acoustics.
Yes.
It was very, very good, better than KBC. I recorded, and I still have got those old recordings.
So now that song now, what is the title of that very first song that you recorded? It
was, the ladies had come from just my neighbor, it's called OFAFA.
Yes.
I used to stay at OFAFA. And those were neighbors.
They were actually neighbors in the
neighborhood. There were these artists, these were who sing.
Oh, yes.
But they had very good voices. And they wanted to actually to preach through singing. So when they went to KBC, they were referred to me
by Josephat Ngigi.
Yeah.
Now that you have recorded now that song now, the first song now you've taken it to Josephat Ngigi. Will he play it in a studio?
Well, he played it because, you know, the only machine that could play from the production are the machines that I was using, because I was repairing KBC machines called the ferrographs.
His first recording done in Kikuyu vernacular was heard by broadcaster Josephat Ngigi. It instantly made Kanyotu a household name. Soon, musicians flocked into his makeshift studio in OFAFA, Maringo.
Nani recorded hiyo music? Ni huko Maringo. Maringo tu nyumba tu ya kulala. So
musicians now started flocking into your house.
People said now that studio ni studio sawa kabisa.
Oh my.
And I'm talking about the birth of Studio Sawa Sawa.
Yes.
Kasema ni studio sawa kabisa.
Studio sawa kabisa.
And that thing encouraged me to be what I am. And I actually got specialized in recording equipment.
Right.
Before even anything else. I was actually a fan of recording. You know, I could not even tell why a magnetic is actually reading another tape. I don't know that now. The engineering was on the tape itself.
Yes.
The way it has been made.
Right.
Okay? And these heads of the machines.
Right.
I did not know that they were moderating what you are now singing or what you are talking.
Absolutely.
To the tape.
Yes.
And then they can reproduce that one. So it was a bit of excitement because I've been a fan of...
You had actually been all along a fan of sound.
Yes.
A sound. So did you record any more songs in that makeshift studio you was in at OFAFA?
Oh, from that one, I could not cope with the demand.
Because even the tapes were scarce?
Pardon?
The tapes were not even there.
Yeah, but you could not get the tapes because there's no place you could go and buy tapes.
So the idea of now commercializing, you know, at one point now you realize that now I can make money out of this.
Yes.
So now, and people are saying that is studio sawa kabisa.
Yeah.
Now you have this idea of having a studio now. When did you commercialize now and start recording music?
Now.
And producing the so-called vinyl records.
Yeah, so I called those ready, and I went for the tape that went to KBC, and I recorded those ladies on the same tape. And I took now that one to be okay, and it started being played. So people began asking for music. Fortunately, there was a recording factory which was it used to be called East African Music. It was in
was it in an industrial area?
Pardon? Yeah.
Was it? It was not the Philips.
It was actually Philips.
Yes.
Then from the Philips, assume another name.
Another name.
East African
those are the people that now are producing the so-called vinyl records.
East African Records.
Yes.
And then there came Sapra Records.
So now you've taken that particular tape now. You want it to be produced into many vinyl records now.
Yeah, so I actually was huge. I was actually a big customer of East African music, which was Philips, and it was in that industrial area, Kampala Road.
Right.
Okay, and that's why we used to go and take the tapes,
and then they produce the vinyl records.
They convert to the vinyl.
This was in the early post-independence era, 1967. marking the birth of Studio SAWA. Melke Muthoni and Esther, a worker in the duet, became the studio's first recording artists. Here, in Studio SAWA, became the catchphrase among artists and fans. The demand was overwhelming. Babu morphed into a legendary producer, pumping space at high fidelity and Andrew Crawford Productions. This marked the beginning of his label, Studio SAWA. NAIROBI'S was among the first group recorded under his supervision. Later, he established a fully fledged studio along Sheikh Karume Road, downtown Nairobi. The studio's flagship act was none other than the Kilimambogo Brothers Band, led by Kekai Kilonzo.
Kilimambogo ya waletea utamaduni wa Ukambani, teka sikio utaelewa, mtindo mpya wa Ukambani, kama ni Nyakatolindo na ndia vikando na nditeme kando una mondono akachamwando nivenenando enondo.
Kekai Kilonzo, born in 1954 in Kilimambogo, then Machakos district, was the leader of the band until his death in 1987, aged 33. A primary school dropout, he later worked at the Kenya Canals as a pineapple harvester, taught himself guitar, and shone in the Misonge disco dances. In 1987, he passed away from cerebral malaria. Under Studio SAWA, DK Daniel Kamau rose to stardom. Among his hits was the famous Kauneko. Oiga talese, Kauneko, Yetiga Ikunyakano, Kauneko, Equena Giamora Nogia, Kauneko, Oboro Wakwamana, Kauneko, Oikanwa Nemeruke, Kaigagabu, Nabudaga Koiga Kemi, Kauneko, Danini Kegaga Samu, Kore Dubia, Eyoreta Motoko. DK's other popular songs included I Love You, My Baby, Kirika Nokia ZDK, Kanini, and Pascalina, among others. Others recorded at Studio SAWA included Babu Tonglo under the Jangwa label.
Budget iko hai, vyakula vimepanda, ukame umezidi, vyote vimepanda, fanda Babu Tunglo Babu Tunglo.
The IFC Jericho Choir, led by Mary Atino, also found a home at Studio SAWA.
Arusha Town Choir also worked under Babu's direction at Field Studios.
Before I came to Arusha, I had a lot of local repertoire. And even people like this person called Kirato.
CDM Kirato.
CDM Kirato. Hendele oka nani ukeri.
Was that one recorded at Philips?
No, that one we recorded at Andrew Crawford.
Andrew Crawford?
Yes.
Because by that time now you don't have your studios as yet.
Yeah, because, yeah.
You don't have your studios. You can either go either to records, you can either go to Philips Records at the industrial area.
Yes.
Or Andrew Crawford, there was some record, there was some
yes,
studios.
Andrew Crawford was the nearest studio now, which could record, not a very big group, but it did not record for a long time before I entered to my studio. Fully prepared, fully furnished.
It was that Andrew Crawford studios were fully fledged.
It used to be wrong to a European.
It belonged to
Crawford.
I think it belonged to the husband to Betty Ted. You remember that lady called Betty Ted?
Yes.
That's the husband actually who owned that particular studio.
Yes.
So now tell me, some of the musicians that you produce at Andrew Crawford, you've actually mentioned CDM Kirato. Who else did you produce at Andrew Crawford?
Andrew Crawford, there is this Lawrence Nduru.
There is actually CDM Kirato. There is Lawrence Nduru.
It's called the Lift Valley Brothers. Bahari Boys. Pekesha, la 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 la. Bahari Boys.
That was a very popular song also.
Yes.
Bahari Boys.
Yes, that is actually my production.
That is actually your production.
Yes.
Who else did you now produce at Andrew Crawford?
Who else?
Who else, yes.
So many people. Now Camaros, most of the Camaros are recorded there. Chida Kikombe.
Wahome Wamainge?
Wahome Wamainge, even I started him the Huko.
Right.
Myself.
Right.
Yes.
Nikwenda gugeterwo keimba kia mwale wa maitole ketie kunjuragira ke mwana kabonge kire ndware na batanake ona goteka nyora ketie ke mwana kenge kwere kogoro tigo ciarwo kina ngochoke ido mwale wa maitwa choke.
CDM Kirato also scored big at Studio SAWA. Here is Hindi Nigoka. And that's how it came to be. Babu Allan Kanyotu, a music production guru. His passion was ignited as a boy in the hills of Murang'a, nurtured by BBC engineers at Kirogo Secondary School, and fueled by a love for physics. From that seed, a legend bloomed. Today, trained in sound engineering, Babu Allan Kanyotu continues to produce music into his octogenarian years, now shadowing his own son, Babu Jr., also a renowned producer. This is Gong, Vibes in the Hood, and my name is Daudi Kanja.